Greetings, crypto heads. Not a whole lot to talk about on the Bitcoin front here. We've got the 42 to 45,000 area in between these two yellow lines. If you watched my recent videos, talking about this kind of 2 layers, actually kind of 3 layers. It's kind of like a layer cake. Right now, I'm just watching, like I have been, watching this area in between here to see what it's going to do. 44 to 45,000, that whole area there is a real strong support resistance. I'm sure you're fully aware of that. And the 42,000 area is kind of the bottom barrier of that support resistance. See how it's been in place since January 8th, about 42,000. Bitcoin hit its head on it, came down, and then February 27th or so, it kind of wicked down into it, bounced back off of it for support. So it flipped it, resistance to support. Elon Musk dump crashed straight down through it. We kind of came back up here, kind of close to it. May 25th, June 15th, July 29th, 30th, bouncing off of it as resistance, flipped it. Second week of August, flipped it into support again. And that's what I'm watching now. There's really not going to be a whole lot to talk about, in my opinion, as far as my channel is concerned. It's clear and obvious. If you watch other channels, there's probably hundreds of different indicators and analysis, and I'm pretty sure they're all going to wind up talking about this area between the yellow lines. Can Bitcoin hold above here and remain a top layer cake? If it can't, how long? When's it going to? I'm watching the end of September. Last Friday, September, is the monthly futures close at Bitcoin. In the past, well, last month it really didn't have a big effect, but the pain points have a tendency to be found. The price of Bitcoin manipulated down to causing the most pain, leading into that futures close. So let's see, today's the 13th and 24th, so about 10 or 11 days, 10 full days or so, leading into Friday, and the dump usually dumps down to it. I'm watching that. I'm not saying it's happening for sure. 1 month back in July, it actually pumped up to the closure date and dumped away from it. Last month, August, it just kind of went sideways for the first time in 2021. The previous 6 months, there was a harsh dump down to it, and it kind of looks, we've started here September 8th. Obviously, we're dumping, right? So even if it kind of just goes sideways for now into the last Friday of the month, that's still technically kind of a dump down to it. So maybe Bitcoin just goes sideways. But anyways, long story short, it's pretty obvious, right? Can it hold? Can it hold? And if it doesn't hold, what's happening? So it's kind of boring, really. I've been under the opinion this is a dead cat bounce for quite some time. I could be wrong. Maybe Bitcoin, maybe the bear market of Bitcoin just kind of has these giant crevices, right? I've kind of been kicking that around. I'm pretty sure the bear market will be down here under 30,000, maybe 20 to 10. Might not stay down there for very long with Bitcoin's popularity, but maybe the bear market, maybe we're in the bear market right now, this dead cat bounce, and maybe it kind of comes down like this, right? And there's just these big giant, and then it kind of comes back up here and uses, maybe this is what the bear market might look like, maybe it's not going to be a whole lot different than we're at now with, maybe a quick pop down here, sub 20, right? So, anyways, if you watch my videos, I'm getting ready to buy down here. So with that being said, let's move on here. A little bit of news coming out. I just want to run through some of these stories. This is the daily hash from Kraken. Let me just read this. It's very simple. The government believes that it should have insight into every single financial transaction with no exceptions. If you reject this and demand the same assurances that were completely standard for cash pre-1970, you are considered a criminal. This administration had made it very clear that it intends to completely politicize banking and finance and eliminate financial privacy. Any central bank digital currency would undoubtedly, and there is no arguing this now, be a despotic tool for surveillance and control. So a centralized version of Bitcoin is actually extremely dangerous in the hands of the wrong person or people. The thought process that you can envision is frightening. It's literally frightening. So, luckily, Bitcoin is decentralized. That's the whole thing about Bitcoin. But in my opinion, I think Bitcoin is just going to be kind of assimilated into the traditional financial system that we have now. It can't be controlled ever, really, but it can be turned into a fart in a whirlwind, right? For lack of a better description, a drop in a bucket. That can be done to Bitcoin. Unfortunately, if you can't beat it, join it, right? So Bitcoin can just become just some other asset, just like any other asset, right? In the giant scheme of things. But I'm sure you've heard a lot of this stuff before. Let's see. Here's a little story. IRS makes new crypto broker guidance a priority 2021-2022 plan. So this is it, right? Here it comes. This is actually kind of a good thing and a bad thing, but what this regulation is going to do, it's basically going to get rid of the garbage in the crypto space, right? And it'll probably be a good thing for the real projects. Like Bitcoin isn't really a project, but it'll be good for Bitcoin and Ethereum and Neo and Chainlink and whatever other ones you're interested in out there that are real projects that actually do things. Me personally, I'm looking at Neo, Ethereum, and Chainlink in the next bear market to buy. They are basically like if you could buy a piece of the internet 40 years ago. I kind of see that as Neo and Ethereum and Chainlink. Anyways, extreme growth, right? Maybe exponential growth. And the thing I like about Neo over Ethereum is it's cheaper. You can buy a whole Neo for $45-$50 today if you wanted. And, it has the potential to 100x in 20 years, Bitcoin, probably not, right? Bitcoin might, looking at the big scheme of things now, Bitcoin might only 4 or 5x in the next 10, 20 years. So, there's that. It might go more than that, but you know what I mean? A lot of these smaller ones, I think, have a lot more room to run than Bitcoin just because it's so expensive. A 200,000 in Bitcoin would require $3 trillion to enter the market, the retail market. A lot of the stories you hear about big buys and stuff, that's done over the counter market. So that does not affect the price of Bitcoin. Keep that in mind. Look at this story. Foreign investors exempt from tax on Bitcoin profits in El Salvador. Look at that. That's wonderful. So I'm not sure how that works. You can Google this and examine it for yourself. I'm just kind of pointing this stuff out to you. Another hot spot for Bitcoin and crypto is going to be Miami, Florida. You want to Google Miami, Florida. They actually have their own city coin now. And I got a story coming up here I want to point out to you. Look at this. MicroStrategy acquires additional 5,050 Bitcoin. So this is one way to do it, right? Like I say, I'm waiting. A lot of people might be saying they're waiting for the price to come down to buy, but this is Michael Saylor at MicroStrategy. He bought another $242 million of Bitcoin for 5,000 Bitcoin at a cost of $48,000 per Bitcoin. So if he just would have waited a week, he could have bought it at 44. But he doesn't care, right? Because he stated he's never selling, right? He intends to hold on to them for the rest of his life. He views it like property, like in the physical world. I've heard him say like if he could just buy city blocks of cities, that's what Bitcoin's like, because he's never going to sell it. He's going to hold on to it forever. And that's a good way to look at it. It depends on how you look at it, right? If you're going to hold for the rest of your life and pass it on to your descendants, then you can probably go ahead and buy some right now today at 44,600, right? The good thing about never selling it is you never pay taxes, right? You can take out fiat cash loans using your Bitcoin as collateral and just pay off those loans. So if maybe you pay 4%, 5% interest on a loan, or 3% or 2%, whatever your interest is on the loan, that's you don't sell your Bitcoin. So if you sell your Bitcoin, you get taxed, 15 to 30% or whatever. So that explains why Michael Saylor, just whenever he gets some cash, he buys. Of course, his company is cash rich. They just have piles of cash laying around. That's why he's doing this, right? Because the inflation rate is going up, and that's why he's doing this, because he just has this cash and nothing to do with it. So he's just sticking it into Bitcoin. If the price comes down, Bitcoin comes down to 20 or 10,000, he's just going to hold on to it, right? He'll hold through the bear markets. He's looking 10 years, 20 years in advance. But his company's kind of in a unique place. Investors considered MicroStrategy not a very good investment a year ago, 2 years ago, because they had too much cash laying around. Just stupid as that sounds, right? So now all of a sudden he's buying Bitcoin with that cash, and they don't have all the cash laying around. So now people regard it as a good company to invest in. Okay, South Korea registration deadline for crypto exchanges carries $2.5 billion. You're gonna see stories like this, negative and positive, and blah blah yada yada. So here's the story. Where was that at? No, before I get to the Miami deal, here's one from Robinhood Snacks, talking about environmental, social, and governance investing. This is what I started talking about 3 years ago. Was on another channel. It's called socially responsible investing. The name has kind of changed to ESG, environmental, social, and governance. They look at the environmental impact, the board diversity, and or executive compensation. It's big, right? I called it out 3 years ago, and it's big. It's 51 billion 2020 compared to 5 billion 5 years ago. So it's 10x over 5 years. This would be like solar and wind power, hydropower, just all that, companies that don't, like tobacco companies killing millions of people, and the other really stupid things to invest in around the world. There's kind of a stigma still out there. It's kind of a brainwashing, right? You hear, oh, green, the green movement. Oh, it's this, oh, green, oh, the, blah, 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 blah. Well, I hate to tell you, but there's no way around us coming to a sustainable economy. It's impossible not to come to a renewable, sustainable economy globally. There's just no way around it unless we die. So that's always fun to think about. And here's Miami. Here's another story about Miami City Funds, Miami City Fund. If you're interested in investing in places that could be hotspots, you want to look at like El Salvador, or Miami, Florida. Now, these are the first places getting into it, so maybe they'll run into problems and everyone can learn from it. Maybe they become some of the most well-lubricated financial machines the planet's ever seen. I did a little story about Miami coin a while back. This is an interesting one. This is about the Miami real estate market. You can invest in the Miami real estate market for as little as $500. This isn't the Miami coin that I talked about a while back. This is a different thing, but they might be related. Just Google it, check it out yourself, right? That's what crypto is all about, becoming independent and free, becoming basically your own banking system, you independent by yourself. That's why I like it. That's how I think crypto has a really wonderful social impact on the planet. Even if traditional finance gobbles up and makes crypto just part of it, right? It's still, crypto is going to force the financial system of the world to be better. There's no way around that fact, right? And when people see these, if Miami's in El Salvador, so I'm kind of worried about El Salvador. because I don't think they're really doing it the right way. They're just Bitcoin here now, do it right. So I take a look at Miami, Florida, how they're doing it. They're doing it through Miami Coin, city funds, buying. You right now, no matter where you're at, can buy some of the Miami real estate market for $500. You can buy a lot more if you want. So this is probably the stuff that will be real successful. They got a mayor down there that is probably a little ahead of his time. So watch out for Miami. Watch out for Miami. What's this say? Miami's the second largest city, Florida, after Jacksonville. I didn't know that. I didn't know Jacksonville was bigger than Miami. Do you know that? And its population has increased by nearly 20% since 2010, according to Zillow. Home prices have increased nearly 100% over 10 years, last 10 years. So Miami's doing some real interesting, probably a little ahead of their time things down there with crypto. Have a look at Miami. Google it. This video is running long. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day. Thanks for watching.